History is written by the victors. But what if the story we know is only the tip of the iceberg? Tonight, we dive into the untold story of a family whose influence stretches across centuries, borders, and empires. The Rothschilds, Israel, and the hidden history of global power. Who were they really? And how did one family come to wield influence in a way that shaped nations, and perhaps even the modern world? This is not your history class. This is the story history forgot. Or perhaps, the story history was never meant to tell you. It begins in the late 1700s, in the bustling streets of Frankfurt, Germany. A man named Meyer Amschel Rothschild started a banking dynasty with a vision few could imagine. But here's the first question. How did a single family rise from modest beginnings to control vast swaths of European finance? The answer might lie not just in their acumen, but in their strategy. Each of Meyer's 5 sons was sent to a different European capital: London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, Frankfurt. Like chess pieces, they positioned themselves, not just to survive, but to dominate. And it worked. Through carefully orchestrated alliances, secretive banking operations, and even discreet support of governments, the Rothschilds became more than bankers. They became power brokers of Europe. But here's where it gets more intriguing. Their influence wasn't limited to finance. Some historians argue that the Rothschilds' reach extended into politics, diplomacy, even the shaping of national borders. And this is where Israel enters the story. You've heard of the Balfour Declaration, right? Britain promising a homeland in Palestine to the Jewish people in 1917. But did you know that financial interests, possibly Rothschild-backed, played a subtle yet pivotal role? Consider this. The Rothschilds were one of the first to openly fund Zionist projects, supporting settlements, infrastructure, and lobbying efforts. But why? Was it purely philanthropy? Or was there a vision of influence that stretched far beyond charity? How did one family, rooted in European finance, come to influence the creation of a nation thousands of miles away? And more importantly, what was their goal? Some historians argue it was strategic. By supporting a homeland for Jews in Palestine, the Rothschilds and their allies could create a new geopolitical foothold, a sphere of influence in the Middle East, a region increasingly critical for trade and oil. And yet, the mainstream narrative rarely mentions these financial undercurrents. Why? Fast forward to the 20th century. World wars, revolutions, and the rise of new superpowers. Where were the Rothschilds? Behind the scenes, funding governments, influencing treaties, shaping economies, and always staying in the shadows. This raises a question that has fascinated conspiracy theorists and historians alike. Can a single network of wealth shape world events without ever being publicly acknowledged? The Rothschilds, along with a few other elite families, offer a compelling case study. And Israel, the nation they helped influence financially and politically, stands as a living testament to this quiet yet potent power. A country born not only from ideology and struggle, but also strategic financial support. If we step back, we start to see patterns. Investments in key industries, influence over financial systems, support for political movements, all converging toward shaping global outcomes. Of course, with power comes myth. The Rothschilds are often at the center of conspiracy theories. Some claim total control over world governments. Others suggest clandestine meetings where world leaders are mere puppets. Here's the critical question. How much of it is fact, and how much is distortion? Historical records show undeniable influence, but total domination? That remains speculative. Yet speculation itself can be powerful. When a story is whispered, repeated, and questioned, It becomes part of our collective imagination. And that shapes how we understand history. So, why does this matter today? Why should we care about a family whose influence peaked centuries ago? Because their story is a lens to examine the hidden threads of power, the interplay of money, politics, and influence. Look at modern Israel, global banking networks, and international policy. Behind every headline, there are decisions shaped by interests, connections, and sometimes legacies that stretch back centuries. And the Rothschilds? They remind us that history is not only about wars, treaties, or revolutions, it's about influence, quiet, persistent, and often invisible. So we return to the question we started with: how did one family rise from modest beginnings to shape nations? How did their wealth, their influence, ripple across continents and generations? Perhaps the story of the Rothschilds in Israel is not just about money or politics, but about the subtle forces that shape our world. Forces we rarely see, forces we often take for granted. And that is the untold story. The story history forgot or chose not to tell. History is never just what you read. Sometimes it's what you discover.